Yes, Trae Young just put on a show last night. Game 1, East Final in Milwaukee. This is in the third quarter. This is the play everyone's talking about. Wait for it. Wait for it. Oh, the little shoulder shimmy. Take another look here again. He said he had a lot of time, so he knocked it down. And afterwards, look, Giannis is showing everybody this is what this guy's doing, but they couldn't stop it. This is where the game is decided. Hawks were down 5 in the fourth quarter, and Trae Young just went nuts. Look, how does that go in? Hawks within 2, and then when he doesn't knock one down, his teammates were there to help him out. Young throws it up, and Clint Capella, one of his 19 rebounds, and he puts it up in good. Hawks a 1-point lead. Here's the final chance for Milwaukee, down by 3 in the final seconds. Chris Middleton for the tie, no good. Trae Young, 48 points, 11 assists, and the Hawks, for the third consecutive series, steal Game 1 as they win in Milwaukee last night. And Vince brought up earlier this morning how effective they were in the pick and roll. And PJ, I know you have some tape put together to show us exactly that, how Trae Young used that so well last night.
Well, you talk about a nightmare trying to defend this or try to sit on that bench and tell your players what to do. Trae Young makes the pick and roll look so simple because he just takes whatever the defense gives him. Right here, you see Jeff Teague tried to go over the top. Well, he's already behind him. So where's the help coming? Brook Lopez is deep, so we saw that little floater about 10 times last night. Maybe you're going to go under. This time Jeff Teague goes under Capella. You go under on Trae Young, fine, thank you, I'll take the 3. Bang. You just talked about how open he was. Kesty said he was open for 3 seconds on ESPN radio on that shimmy shot. Now John Collins sets the screen on Drew Holiday, same thing. Bobby Portis is up a little bit higher. Okay, I'll take a jump shot floater from the free throw line. The dilemma Mike Budenholzer has is, what are you going to do with Brook Lopez? Brook Lopez is playing so well, but he can't come all the way up. If he comes all the way up and tries to defend that pick and roll, as soon as Trae it doesn't matter whether you go under or over, he's going to have 2 defenders in his rearview mirror. The idea of keeping Brook down there, at least you got to shoot over a 7-footer. Right now, no pick and roll defense has worked. And it's not like this is the Bucks' problem. This has been a problem for 3 teams so far. It's going to be a problem for anybody trying to defend that.
And so what do you do, Vince? I guess it's a question no one can answer. How do you stop Trae Young?
Well, here's the thing. When teams sit their big back like that, they're saying, we want to keep the guard out of the paint. We want the guard out of the paint. You want the defensive guard to get over the screen and get downhill, but they don't want him to get the layup. Well, Trae could shoot the mid-range and the floater. But here's the thing on that tape that we saw, Coach and Greeny, you see where they were setting the pick and roll? They were setting it so high up the floor. So now Trae Young gets a head of steam downhill, and the big can't do anything about it. So it's a nightmare for somebody like Brook Lopez, because he's like, not only am I sitting back, but I see Trae Young coming full speed with a live dribble. What am I to do? So as a big, you tell them, get your heels, like you guarding Steph, get your heels on the 3-point line. But it's just a nightmare. What do you do?
I feel you need to say it again. The Steph comparison. I remember when Steph first started becoming Steph, and people said he stretched the defense like a rubber band until it broke in a way that nobody ever had before. And that, I think, PJ, is exactly what Vince is saying. They're setting that screen 40 feet from the basket. You can't play defense that long.
Well, that last example, the one where you had John Collins setting the screen for Drew Holiday, that's what they call a drag. So as he's coming down the floor, they're already setting that screen just barely after he crosses half court. And it's not like Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez are the problem. You could have a guard defending Clint Capella, and switch it, and as soon as he gets him, you hear the word that Vince used, downhill. He's just going to shake and go right by the guard. So it's not a problem just for a big. It's a problem for anybody trying to cover Trae Young 25 feet away from the basket. Can't stay in front of him.
Very quickly, he was the story last night. The story the night before, obviously, was the unbelievable finish in Phoenix. And Vince, I know that you were looking at some tape and you wanted to point a few things out that maybe we haven't gotten to yet. Take it away.
There's a few things I wanted to point out. More so than anything, if I'm coaching, and I probably will never be a coach, great coach like you.
Too smart.
I think I would have liked to see the Clippers to switch all screens. So, yes, it was 0.9 seconds. So even if Devin Booker has to go out on the floor, well, you can see my clip here. look at I just wanted to highlight the great pass in that situation. A la my guy Jay Crowder. No, but yes, the Clippers switching the pick and roll. So now you get to the shooters, you get to Ayton, body to body. He doesn't get that lob, but they did not. So here you see they put Cousins on the ball. See the difference on the guy on the ball? Cousins is not really flapping his arms. He's up. He has his hands up. He's 6'10", 7 feet. Cool. But the passing angle is simple. Jay Crowder is able to take his time. It's like finesse it up there, right there for you. There, buddy. Catch it. Just lay it in. But now if DeMarcus Cousins is going wild and crazy, throwing those arms up, now he's 7'2" and 3. It changes the passing angle and it changes the sight line for Jay Crowder. And that makes that pass more difficult, and the ball possibly goes a little higher. Ayton catches it further away from the basket, and instead of it being a just lay in, it might have to be a little chip floater type shot.
It's a good look at it. Obviously, it's a play that might very well have changed the entire complexion of that series, guys.
Phoenix to Tampa and everywhere in between, from A to Z.
All right, let's go A to Z on KJZ. We start with, well, Jay Will is right now in L.A. for the Western Conference Finals. And
Jason Williams in Los Angeles.
Game 3.
Might be a sweep.
Live from Los Angeles. Oh, say that one more time.
Might be a sweep. CP3's coming back today. It might be a sweep.
That's right. Chris Paul listed as probable for tonight's Game 3. Meanwhile, Kawhi Leonard of the Clippers, he remains out. Remember, CP3, he's been in the league's health and safety protocol since last Wednesday. He missed the first 2 games of the conference finals against the Clippers in Phoenix. Again, Kawhi still out for tonight's game. He hasn't played since June 14th. That was against the Jazz because of that sprained right knee. So, Jay, what do we expect from the Clippers and Paul George in Game 3?
Not to be an 85% free throw shooter and miss 2 bunnies down the line. Nice. Look, CP3 coming back makes his team even more lethal. And we watched it last night. Apparently, teams are having really difficult times guarding pick and rolls at the top of the key. If you had a difficult time guarding Devin Booker, you're going to have a difficult time guarding CP3, who is the maestro for the Phoenix Suns. Their offense is 16 points better, Allen. 16 points better when he's on the floor.
Wow.
So let's see how that works out for the Clippers.
So you think it's a wrap, huh? You feel like it's a wrap? CP3 back, it's a wrap.
I mean, yeah, it's looking that way.
Yeah,
when you're down 0-2 with the claw key, like first 2 rounds, okay, but now without Kawhi Leonard and everything falls on Paul
CP3 being
George,
added potentially to the other side, that's not going.
It's scary, right?
Yeah, that turns into something different.
How does Paul George respond after missing those free throws that he never does that, misses 2? One time this whole season he did that, missed both free throws at the free throw line in one trip. He does it in a clutch moment that should have been or could have been a win for his team. I feel like he's the kind of guy that has to say to himself, I've got to now make sure we win Game 3. I got to get that one back. And they're at home, and this has got to be a game where he makes sure that they get that one back and get back into the series. Do you expect that, Jay?
I hope so. I gotta be honest, Alan. I was talking to James Steele yesterday when I landed off the plane for a while, our producer, about I'm starting to get to this point, and Key, I would love to hear your opinion on this, where I start to worry about people's mental health. I watch what we did to Ben Simmons, watch what the media and people do via social media all the time. And I know people say stay off that stuff, but for most people, that's their norm. And every time I watch Paul George play, I start seeing Pandemic P trending. It starts trending every time he plays. Mm-hmm. And the media, people just coming down so hard on him for playing without Kawhi. I understand he missed 2 free throws, but man, what a narrative that people are building around Paul George, considering last year and now this year. I hope so for his sake, man, because he's a good dude and I want to see him be successful.
Well, first, you know how I feel about the whole social media stuff. I get it. It's the world that we live in. I don't know if it will affect Paul George the way that it may affect others, just because he's a veteran who's been through some stuff in this league, who's had some ups and downs. So I would think that he would not necessarily be used to it, but understand the negativity of it. And you can't buy into you can't buy into that stuff, Jay. And I tell you that all the time about the social media. You have to understand who people are hiding behind keyboards and in offices underneath their desks so their bosses are not watching them. You have to understand that.
We shall see.
I hear you,
response. The NBA
Just
Western.
saying, that's a big stage, man. It's a big stage to have these things happen to you.
No, I get it. No, I understand.
How he responds, and we'll see tonight. Western Conference Finals on ESPN Radio. Tune in tonight for Game 3 as the Clippers host the Suns. It's presented by Indeed. Coverage begins 8:30 p.m. Eastern on most ESPN radio stations. How about this story? Steve Kerr says